Princess Zara had been flying for 3 hours when everything went wrong. Her sleek silver ship, no bigger than a small car, started making sounds it had never made before. Red lights flashed across her control panel, and suddenly she was falling toward the blue and green planet below. She tried everything she knew, pressing buttons and speaking commands in her native language, but nothing worked. The ship was going down whether she liked it or not. Through her viewing screen, she could see tall green trees getting closer and closer. This was not how her simple observation mission was supposed to go. The crash was surprisingly gentle. Her ship's emergency systems kicked in at the last moment, creating a soft energy field that helped her land between two large pine trees. Steam rose from the damaged hull as Zara sat in her pilot's seat, trying to understand what had just happened. For the first time in her 25 years of life, Princess Zara was truly alone. No servants, no guards, no father telling her what to do. Just her, a broken spaceship, and an entire planet full of the creatures she had been studying from space. She pressed the communication button on her wrist device. Static filled the air. Then a familiar voice came through. "Princess, are you safe?" It was Captain Rex from the mothership orbiting Earth. "My ship is damaged," she said, looking at the cracked viewing screen. "The landing systems failed. We're tracking your location. A rescue team will need 30 Earth days to reach you safely." "Can you survive that long? 30 days? On an alien planet, surrounded by humans who had no idea that other life existed in the universe." Zara felt something she had never experienced before, her heart beating faster, her hands getting wet with sweat. Was this what humans called fear? "I'll manage," she told the captain, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "Remember, Princess, you cannot reveal who you are. Study them, but do not interfere. The invasion plans depend on our secrecy." The word invasion made her feel uncomfortable, though she couldn't understand why. Her people needed a new home. Their planet was dying, and Earth had everything they needed. It was simple logic. So why did thinking about it make her stomach feel strange? Zara's biosuit, the living garment that had protected her during space travel, was damaged in the crash. It flickered and changed colors before finally dissolving into nothing, leaving her wearing only the thin undergarments her people used. She shivered as cold air touched her skin for the first time in her life. Looking through her ship's storage compartments, she found an emergency kit with something called human clothing samples. The instructions said these were for blending in during ground missions. She pulled out strange items made of rough materials, something called jeans, and a sweater. Putting them on was harder than she expected. The jeans were stiff and uncomfortable, nothing like her soft biosuit. The sweater felt scratchy against her skin. How did humans wear these things every day? She was still struggling with something called sneakers, when she heard voices coming through the trees. "Did you hear that sound earlier?" a woman's voice said. "Like thunder, but there are no clouds." "Probably just a military jet," a man replied. "They fly over sometimes." Zara's heart raced again. Humans were coming. Real, living humans, not just images on her observation screens. She had studied them for years, learned their languages, watched their daily routines, but she had never been this close to them before. She quickly closed her ship's door, which sealed itself and became invisible, looking like just another tree trunk. Then she started walking away from the crash site, trying to remember how humans moved. They seemed to move much more slowly than her people, and they swayed from side to side as they walked. "Hey, are you okay?" Zara spun around to see the humans. Approaching through the trees, a woman with short brown hair and a man with a thick beard. They were both wearing similar outdoor clothes, like what she had read about in her cultural studies. Her universal translator, a small device hidden in her ear, quickly converted their English words into her language. But something was wrong. She understood the words, but the way they said them, the feeling behind them, was something new. She started, then realized she was speaking in Andorian. She switched to English, grateful for the years of language training. "I'm fine, just lost." The woman stepped closer, and Zara noticed something in her eyes. It wasn't the cold calculation she was used to seeing in her own people. It was warm, concerned, caring about a complete stranger. You look like you've been through something, the woman said gently. I'm Kate, and this is my husband Tom. We were just finishing our hike when we heard that loud noise. Noise? Zara tried to look confused. Yeah, sounded like something crashed, Tom said, looking around. You didn't see anything, did you? Zara shook her head quickly. No, nothing. I was just walking, and I got lost. Kate studied her carefully. Are you from around here? You have an interesting accent. I'm an international student, Zara said, remembering the cover story she had memorized. From Northern Europe, very far north. Oh, like Iceland? Kate asked with interest. Yes. Similar, Zara nodded, having no idea what Iceland was. Tom looked at her clothes. Where's your backpack? Water bottle. It's pretty dangerous to hike out here without supplies. For the first time, Zara realized how unprepared she must look. These humans were carrying large bags, water containers, and various tools. She had nothing. I lost them, she said quietly, when I got lost. Kate and Tom exchanged a look, and Zara saw something pass between them. Some kind of silent communication that her studies had never explained. Listen, Kate said. It's getting dark soon, and you can't stay out here alone. Why don't you come back to town with us? We can help you figure out what to do next. The offer surprised Zara. Why would these strangers want to help her in her world? No one did anything without expecting something in return. There had to be a trick, some hidden motive. I don't have money, she said carefully, testing them. Don't worry about that right now, Tom said with a smile. Let's just get you somewhere safe. As they walked back toward their vehicle, Kate kept asking questions. Where was she staying? Did she have friends or family to call? How long had she been in America? Zara answered as best she could, making up details about a fictional exchange program and lost luggage. But what fascinated her wasn't the conversation itself. It was the way Kate asked. She seemed genuinely interested in the answers, not just gathering information. When they reached Tom and Kate's truck, Zara had her first close look at human transportation. It was loud, smelly, and seemed incredibly primitive compared to her silent, clean spaceship. But when Tom started the engine and they began moving, she felt something unexpected, excitement. The world looked completely different from ground level. Through her ship's screens, Earth had seemed flat and distant, but riding in the truck, she could see the details, individual leaves on trees, small animals running across the road. The way sunlight made everything glow. First time in this part of the country, Kate asked from the front seat. First time in any part, Zara said honestly. Then quickly added, of America, I mean. Well, you picked a beautiful area, Tom said. We moved here 5 years ago from the city. Best decision we ever made. Zara found herself curious about this concept. Why did you move? Life's simpler here, Kate explained. People are friendlier. The air is cleaner, and you can actually see the stars at night. Stars. Zara looked up through the truck's window at the darkening sky. Soon, she would see her home constellation from this strange new perspective. Would it look different from down here? As they drove toward town, passing small houses with glowing windows, Zara realized something important. For the first time in her life, she was completely dependent on others. Not servants who had to help her because she was a princess, but strangers who chose to help her for no reason at all. The feeling was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. Thank you, she said quietly, and meant it more than any words she had ever spoken. Kate turned around and smiled. That's what people do. We help each other. In that moment, Zara began to understand that everything she thought she knew about humans might be wrong, and she had 30 days to figure out what that meant. Kate and Tom's apartment was nothing like what Zara had expected from her observations in space. Human homes had looked simple and basic, but being inside one was completely different. Everything had texture, smell, and purpose she had never noticed before. Make yourself comfortable, Kate said, gesturing toward a soft-looking chair. Are you hungry? You must be starving. Zara stared at the chair. In her world, furniture adapted to your body automatically. This chair just sat there, waiting. She lowered herself onto it carefully, surprised by how it gave way under her weight but still supported her. I don't know, she answered honestly, about being hungry. The truth was, she had never experienced hunger. Her people absorbed nutrients directly through their biosuits while they slept. Food was something she had only studied, never actually experienced. Tom opened what looked like a white cabinet that suddenly lit up inside. Cold air flowed out, and Zara could see various containers and packages arranged on shelves. This must be what humans called a refrigerator. How about some soup? Kate suggested. Something warm and simple, within minutes. Kate was doing something at a counter with various tools and containers. Zara watched, fascinated, as she opened a metal can with a strange circular device, poured the contents into a pot, and placed it on a surface that somehow created heat. This is how you prepare food? Zara asked, genuinely curious. Kate laughed. Well, this is the quick version. I'm not much of a cook, but Tom makes amazing meals from scratch. From scratch, you know, starting with basic ingredients instead of using pre-made stuff, Tom explained, joining them in the kitchen area, taking raw vegetables, meat, spices, and creating something new. The concept amazed Zara. Humans took separate elements and combined them to create something entirely different. It was almost like engineering, but with edible materials. When Kate placed a bowl of steaming soup in front of her, Zara had no idea what to do. She had watched humans eat through her observation screens, but she had never understood the mechanics of it. She picked up the metal spoon Kate had provided and looked at the orange liquid with floating pieces of vegetables. It smelled unlike anything she had ever encountered, warm, rich, and somehow comforting. Go ahead, Kate encouraged. It's chicken noodle soup, nothing fancy, but it's good for warming you up. Zara carefully lifted a spoonful to her mouth. The moment the liquid touched her tongue, something incredible happened. Her taste sensors, which had never been used before, suddenly came alive. The flavor was warm and salty, with layers of taste she couldn't identify. But more than that, it made her feel something deep in her chest, a sensation of comfort and safety. She took another spoonful, then another. Each bite brought new sensations. The soft noodles had a different texture than the liquid. The small pieces of chicken were chewy and satisfying. The vegetables added different flavors, some sweet, some slightly bitter. This is amazing, she said, and tears started rolling down her cheeks. Kate immediately looked concerned. Are you okay? Is something wrong? Zara touched her wet cheeks. Confused. What's happening to me? You're crying, Tom said gently. Are you hurt? Is the soup too hot? No. It's perfect. I've never. She couldn't explain without revealing her secret. How could she tell them she had never tasted anything before in her entire life? Hey, it's okay, Kate said, sitting down beside her. Sometimes when we're stressed or overwhelmed, our emotions come out in unexpected ways. You've had a really difficult day. Kate's explanation gave Zara a way to understand what was happening. These were emotions, something her people had but rarely expressed. The combination of fear, gratitude, and this new sensation of taste had created an overflow that leaked out through her eyes. I'm sorry, Zara said, wiping her face. I'm not usually like this. No need to apologize, Tom said. We all have tough days. After finishing the soup, Kate showed Zara to a small room with a bed. You can stay here tonight. We'll figure out how to contact your school or your family tomorrow. The bed was another mystery. Zara was used to sleeping in a regeneration pod that perfectly supported her body and regulated her temperature. This was just a soft surface with fabric coverings. How does it work? She asked. Kate looked puzzled. How does what work? The sleeping place, the bed. You just lie down and sleep on it, Kate explained slowly. Our bed's different where you're from. Very different, Zara said, which was certainly true. Kate showed her how to use the blankets, how the pillows supported her head, and where the bathroom was located. Each explanation revealed how much humans had to do manually that her people's technology handled automatically. The bathroom was particularly confusing. Water flowed from metal fixtures when you turned handles. You had to regulate the temperature yourself. There were different tools for cleaning different parts of your body. Everything required active participation. That night, lying in the strange bed, Zara stared at the ceiling and tried to process everything that had happened. The mattress was softer than her regeneration pod, but it didn't automatically adjust to her movements. She had to find comfortable positions herself through the thin walls. She could hear Kate and Tom talking quietly in their room. She seemed so lost, Kate was saying, like she's never been away from home before. Maybe she hasn't, Tom replied. Some kids are really sheltered, and being in a foreign country, losing her stuff, that would be overwhelming for anyone. Should we call the police? Report that we found her? Let's wait until morning. Give her a chance to contact her people herself. If she's in real trouble, we'll help her figure it out. Zara felt that strange emotion again, the one that made her chest feel warm. These humans were worried about her, a complete stranger. They were making plans to help her without expecting anything in return. In her world, every action had a calculated purpose. But Kate and Tom seemed to help simply because it was the right thing to do. The next morning brought new challenges. Kate showed her how to use something called a shower, standing under falling water to clean yourself. The sensation of water hitting her skin was shocking at first, then surprisingly pleasant. The warmth relaxed muscles she didn't know were tense. Breakfast introduced her to more new tastes and textures. Toast was crispy on the outside, soft. Inside, eggs were creamy and rich. Orange juice was sweet and tangy. Each bite was a small adventure. So what's your plan? Tom asked as they sat around a small table. Do you have anyone you can call? Zara had been dreading this question. She needed to stay in the area for 30 days, but she couldn't tell them why. And she needed to blend in convincingly while learning as much as possible about human society. My program coordinator is traveling, she said carefully. I can't reach her for a few weeks. And my luggage with all my money and identification was lost by the airline. It wasn't entirely a lie. Captain Rex was traveling. He was orbiting the planet, and her identification certainly wasn't available to her. Kate and Tom exchanged another one of those meaningful looks. Well, Kate said slowly, you're welcome to stay here while you sort things out, but you need some way to support yourself. Have you ever had a job? Work that humans did to earn money to buy the things they needed to survive. Another concept that was completely foreign to her world, where everything was provided based on your position in society. No, she admitted, I've never worked before. That's okay, Tom said. Everyone starts somewhere. My friend Dave owns a coffee shop downtown. He's always looking for help, and he's patient with new employees. Coffee, Zara had studied this. Substance, a drink made from ground beans that humans consume for energy and pleasure. Working in a place that served coffee would give her perfect opportunities to observe human social behavior. I would like to try that, she said. As they walked through town toward the coffee shop, Zara tried to absorb everything she saw. The streets were full of humans going about their daily routines, each one unique in appearance and behavior. Some moved quickly with purpose. Others wandered slowly. Some smiled at strangers. Others kept their eyes down. The variety was overwhelming. In her society, everyone dressed similarly, acted similarly, followed the same patterns. But here, every human seemed to be creating their own individual path through life. The coffee shop was warm and loud, full of delicious smells and the sound of conversation. Dave, the owner, was a large man with kind eyes who barely asked any questions before offering her a job. Can you start tomorrow? He asked. I'll teach you everything you need to know. As they walked back to the apartment, Zara realized something important was happening to her. For the first time in her life, she was going to earn her own way. In the world, she would have to learn, adapt, and prove herself worthy of keeping the job. It was terrifying and exciting at the same time, and she couldn't wait to begin. Working at Dave's coffee shop turned out to be much harder than Zara had expected. On her first day, she watched Dave demonstrate how to operate the large, complex machine that made coffee. It had multiple buttons, steam wands, and various containers that all had to work together in perfect timing. The key is practice. Dave explained patiently as Zara struggled to create the foam that went on top of certain drinks. Don't worry about being perfect right away. Even experienced baristas mess up sometimes. But Zara was used to perfection. In her world, technology made everything precise and predictable. This machine required intuition, timing, and a feel for how the milk would react to the steam. It was like learning to paint when you had only ever used mathematical formulas. Her first customer was a middle-aged woman who ordered something called a cappuccino with an extra shot. Zara stared at the woman blankly. "Excuse me," she said. "A cappuccino," the woman repeated slowly, "with an extra shot of espresso." Dave quickly stepped in and showed Zara which buttons to press and how to measure the coffee. But as the morning went on, more customers arrived, each with their own specific preferences and strange language. "Can I get a skinny vanilla latte with oat milk and half the syrup? I'll take a medium dark roast, black, but leave room for cream. Do you have any of those pastries from yesterday? The ones with the chocolate chips?" Each order was like solving a puzzle in a language she was still learning. But what fascinated Zara wasn't the drinks themselves. It was watching the customers interact with each other and with her. Some people were rushed and barely made eye contact. Others wanted to chat about the weather, their families, or local events. A few regulars seemed to know everyone in the shop and would stop to talk to other customers they recognized. One customer in particular caught her attention. A young man with paint-stained fingers who came in every morning at exactly 9:30 and ordered the same thing, a large black coffee and a blueberry muffin. Unlike the others, he always said please and thank you, and he left his change in the tip jar. On her third day, when she finally managed to have his order ready before he asked for it, he looked surprised. "You remembered," he said with a genuine smile. "You order the same thing every day," Zara replied. "It wasn't difficult to remember." "Yeah, but most people don't pay attention to details like that." "I'm Alex, by the way." "Zara. Nice to meet you, Zara. Are you new in town? I haven't seen you before." Over the following days, Alex would stay after getting his coffee and talk with her during slow periods. He was an artist, he explained, which meant he created visual representations of ideas and emotions using paint and canvas. "What do you paint?" Zara asked one morning. "Mostly landscapes, but I've been trying to branch out. I'm working on a series about human connections, how people relate to each other in small moments." The concept intrigued her. "How do you paint something like that?" Alex thought for a moment. "Like, yesterday I saw an old man helping a little kid reach something on a high shelf at the grocery store. They didn't know each other, but for 30 seconds, they were connected by this simple act of kindness. That's what I want to capture." Zara found herself thinking about Alex's paintings throughout the day. He was trying to document the same thing she was observing, the way humans connected with each other, but while she was studying them to understand their weaknesses for invasion, Alex was celebrating their capacity for goodness. The thought made her uncomfortable in a way she couldn't explain. As weeks passed, Zara became more skilled at her job. She learned to read customers' moods and adjust her approach accordingly. The rushed businessman needed efficiency and speed. The lonely elderly woman wanted someone to chat with for a few minutes. The stressed college student needed encouragement along with caffeine. But the most interesting part of her job was listening to conversations. Humans talked about everything: their jobs, their families, their dreams, their problems. They shared personal information with friends, but also sometimes with complete strangers. One afternoon, she overheard two women discussing their worries about environmental changes in their area. "The river level has been dropping for months," one said. "My grandfather says he's never seen it this low. And have you noticed how the birds' migration patterns seem different this year?" The other replied, "They're arriving later and leaving earlier." Zara knew exactly what was causing these changes. Her people's preliminary operations included subtle atmospheric adjustments to prepare Earth for their arrival. These humans were noticing the effects, but they had no idea what was really happening. The knowledge made her feel sick to her stomach, another new human emotion she was learning to recognize. That evening, as she walked home through the small downtown area, Zara noticed a crowd gathered around a small building with large windows. Curious, she moved closer and saw paintings hung on the walls inside. People were walking around, looking at the artwork and talking quietly. Through the window, she spotted Alex standing next to one of his paintings, looking nervous as people examined his work. Without really thinking about it, she went inside. "Zara," Alex said, his face lighting up when he saw her. "I didn't expect to see you here." "What is this?" she asked, looking around at the paintings covering the walls. "It's called an art opening. Local artists show their work, and people can buy pieces they like. This is my first real show." Zara moved through the room, studying Alex's paintings. They were unlike anything in her world, where art was created by machines to mathematical specifications of beauty. These paintings were imperfect, emotional, and somehow more beautiful because of their flaws. One painting in particular stopped her completely. It showed two figures reaching toward each other across a dark space, their fingertips almost touching. The colors were deep blues and purples, with small spots of warm light scattered throughout. "This one," she said to Alex. "What does it mean?" Alex joined her in front of the painting. "I call it finding each other. It's about how we're all kind of isolated in our own experiences, but sometimes we make connections that bridge that gap, even briefly." As Zara stared at the painting, she realized it perfectly captured how she felt about her relationships with Kate, Tom, Dave, Alex, and the other humans she had met. She was reaching across the vast space between her world and theirs, trying to make connections she had never thought possible. "It's beautiful," she said quietly. "Would you like to get some dinner?" Alex asked suddenly. "I mean, after this is over. There's a nice little restaurant down the street, and I'm too nervous to eat anything here." Dinner, a social activity, where humans shared food and conversation. Zara had observed it but never participated. "Yes," she said, "I would like that." The restaurant was small and warm, with candles on each table that created dancing shadows on the walls. Alex seemed more relaxed away from the crowd at the art show. "So what's your story?" he asked as they waited for their food. "You're definitely not from around here, but there's something else different about you. You notice things other people miss, and you ask questions like you're seeing the world for the first time." Zara's heart raced. Was she that obvious? "I'm from very far away," she said carefully, "a place that's quite different from here." "What's it like?" She thought about her home world, the crystal cities, the ordered society, the technology that anticipated every need. How could she explain it without revealing the truth? "Very organized," she said finally. "Everything has its place, and everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do. There's no uncertainty, no chaos." "That sounds kind of lonely," Alex said. The observation surprised her. Why would it be lonely? Because the best parts of life are the unexpected things, the random conversations, the chance meetings, the moments when someone surprises you. If everything is planned out, you miss all of that. As their food arrived, Zara found herself thinking about Alex's words. In her world, surprise was inefficiency, uncertainty was a problem to be solved. But here, those things seemed to be what made life interesting. "What about you?" she asked. "What do you want from life?" Alex considered the question while cutting his food. "I want to create things that matter. I want to connect with people in meaningful ways. And I want to leave the world a little better than I found it." He looked up at her. "What about you?" The question hit her like a physical blow. What did she want? For 25 years, she had never been asked that question. Her life path had been determined before she was born. Princess, future ruler. Part of the great expansion to save her dying people. But sitting in this small restaurant, sharing food with someone who created beauty just because he believed it mattered. Zara realized she had never thought about what she personally wanted from existence. "I don't know," she said honestly. I'm still figuring that out, Alex smiled. That's the best answer anyone can give. People who think they have it all figured out usually aren't paying attention. As they walked back through the quiet streets, Sarah felt something she had never experienced before. Contentment, not the satisfaction of duty completed or rank achieved, but a quiet happiness that came from simply being present in this moment, with this person, in this place, for the first time since arriving on Earth. She began to understand what humans meant when 3 weeks had passed since Zara's crash landing, and she had almost forgotten that this wasn't her real life. Working at the coffee shop, living with Kate and Tom, spending evenings with Alex, it all felt natural now. She had learned to laugh at Dave's jokes, to remember regular customers' orders, and to appreciate the simple pleasure of watching sunrise through the shop's front windows. But that peaceful morning was shattered when her wrist communicator buzzed with an emergency signal. She was alone in the coffee shop, having arrived early to prep for the morning rush, when the familiar voice of Captain Rex filled her ear. Princess Zara, respond immediately. Her hands trembled as she activated the device. I'm here. Captain, we have urgent news from the home world. The Emperor has accelerated the timeline. The invasion fleet will arrive in 1 Earth year instead of 5. The words hit her like ice water. 1 year. Her father was moving the invasion forward by 4 years. Why? She whispered. Our planet's core is failing faster than predicted. We have less time than we thought. The advanced teams are already preparing the atmospheric changes needed for our arrival. Atmospheric changes. That explained what the women in the coffee shop had been discussing. The dropping river levels, the strange weather patterns, the confused wildlife. Her people were already beginning to transform Earth's environment to match their own world's needs. What about the humans? She asked, though she dreaded the answer. The relocation camps are being designed now. They'll be housed and fed adequately while they provide labor for the terraforming process. It's more merciful than extinction. Merciful. Zara thought about Kate humming while she cooked breakfast. Tom teaching her to drive their old truck. Dave's pride when she mastered a difficult coffee drink. Alex's excitement when he sold his first painting. These people had lives, dreams, connections that mattered to them. How was destroying all of that merciful? Princess, you need to return immediately. Your betrothal ceremony to Commander Thane will take place as soon as you arrive. The political alliance is crucial for maintaining unity during the invasion. Commander Thane, the cold, efficient military leader her father had chosen for her. She had forgotten all about him, forgotten about her royal duties, forgotten about everything except the life she had built here. I can't leave yet, she said. My ship is still being repaired. A rescue vessel will arrive in 7 days. Be ready. The communication ended, leaving Zara alone in the quiet coffee shop with knowledge that felt like poison in her mind. 7 days and 7 days. She would have to choose between her duty to her people and her growing love for this world and its inhabitants. The morning customers began arriving, and Zara went through the motions of making coffee and taking orders, but her mind was spinning. Every smile, every good morning, every casual conversation felt precious and fragile, like soap bubbles that would soon burst. Alex came in at his usual time, but instead of his normal cheerful greeting, he studied her face with concern. You look like you've seen a ghost, he said. Are you okay? Just tired, she lied. But Alex wasn't convinced. Want to talk about it? I'm pretty good at listening. The offer was tempting, but how could she explain that she was an alien princess whose people were planning to enslave humanity? Instead, she just shook her head and handed him his coffee. But Alex didn't leave. He waited until Dave went into the back room, then leaned across the counter. Zara, I know we haven't known each other very long, but I care about you. Whatever's bothering you, maybe I can help. The kindness in his voice almost broke her resolve. She wanted so badly to tell him everything, to warn him about what was coming, to ask him to run away with her to somewhere safe. But there was nowhere safe. When her people arrived, they would claim the entire planet. That evening, she walked aimlessly through the town, trying to figure out what to do. She passed the park where children played while their parents watched from benches, the library where elderly people read newspapers and teenagers studied, the small restaurant where she and Alex had shared their first dinner. All of it would be gone within a year. She found herself at the veterinary clinic where Dr. Elena Rodriguez worked. Through the window, she could see Elena gently examining a small dog while its owner watched anxiously. The care and compassion on Elena's face as she worked made Zara's chest ache. Without really deciding to, Zara pushed open the clinic door. "We're actually closed," Elena said, looking up from her patient. "But if it's an emergency." "No emergency," Zara said quickly. I wanted to ask you something." Elena finished with the dog and its grateful owner, then turned her full attention to Zara. She was a woman in her 30s with kind eyes and steady hands. "That spoke of your spent healing injured animals. What can I help you with?" Zara looked around the clinic at the medical equipment, the charts showing animal anatomy, the photos of pets Elena had helped over the years. This woman had dedicated her life to reducing suffering and preserving life. How could Zara stay silent while her people planned to destroy everything Elena had worked for? "If you knew something terrible was going to happen," Zara said slowly, "but telling people about it would make you a traitor to your own family, what would you do?" Elena studied her carefully. "That's a heavy question. Are we talking about something hypothetical, or is this real, very real?" Elena sat down and gestured for Zara to do the same. "I think it depends on what kind of terrible thing we're talking about, and whether your family is right or wrong. What if your family believes they're doing the right thing, but you've learned that the people they're planning to hurt don't deserve it? Then your family is wrong," Elena said simply. "Being related to someone doesn't make their actions right, and being loyal to people who are planning to hurt innocent others isn't really loyalty. It's being an accomplice." The words hit Zara like a revelation. She had been thinking about this as a choice between her people and the humans. But Elena was right. It wasn't about choosing sides. It was about choosing between right and wrong. But what if standing up to your family means losing everything, your home, your identity, your future? Elena was quiet for a long moment. "I had a situation like that once. My family wanted me to take over their business instead of becoming a veterinarian. They said I was being selfish, wasting my education, embarrassing them. Choosing this career meant losing their approval and support. Do you regret it? Never. Because this is who I'm meant to be. And the people who truly love you will support you in becoming your best self, even if it's not what they planned for you." As Zara walked home that night, Elena's words echoed in her mind. Who was she meant to be? The obedient princess who followed orders without question, or someone who stood up for what was right, even when it cost her everything? The next morning, she made her decision. She called in sick to work and hiked out to where her ship was hidden. Her hand shook as she activated the communication system. "Captain Rex, this is Princess Zara. Princess, excellent timing. The rescue ship is ahead of schedule. They'll arrive tomorrow night. Captain, I need to tell you something important. The humans aren't what we thought they were." "What do you mean?" Zara took a deep breath. "They're not primitive or barbaric. They're capable of incredible kindness, creativity, and love. They take care of each other, even strangers. They create beauty for its own sake. They dedicate their lives to healing and helping others. Princess, you've been among them too long. You're developing emotional attachments that are clouding your judgment." "No, my judgment has never been clearer. These people don't deserve to be enslaved. We need to find another solution." The silence that followed was long and cold. "Princess Zara, you will return tomorrow night as ordered. We will discuss your concerns with the Emperor upon your arrival." The transmission ended, and Zara knew she had just sealed her fate. She was going to have to choose between her old life and her new understanding of what was right. But first, she owed the truth to the people who had shown her what it meant to be human. That evening, she asked Alex to meet her at their favorite spot in the park. As they sat on a bench watching the sunset, she took his hand. "Alex, I need to tell you something, and I need you to promise you listen to the whole story before you react." He squeezed her hand gently. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out." Taking the biggest risk of her life, Zara began to tell him the truth about who she really was and what was coming to Earth. And for the first time in her life, she prayed to whatever forces govern the universe that love would be stronger than fear. Alex didn't say anything for a long time after Zara finished telling him the truth. He sat on the park bench, staring at his hands, processing everything she had revealed. The sunset painted the sky in brilliant oranges and reds, but neither of them noticed the beauty around them. "So you're really an alien princess," he said finally. "And your people are planning to invade Earth in less than a year, yes? And you've been living among us, studying us, preparing for this invasion." Zara's heart sank at the hurt in his voice. "At first, yes, but everything changed." "You changed everything." Alex looked at her then, and she saw a mixture of pain and confusion in his eyes. "How do I know any of what you've told me about yourself is real? How do I know this isn't just part of your mission?" The question cut deep because she understood why he would ask it. "Because I'm risking everything to tell you this. My people will consider me a traitor for revealing their plans. I'll lose my family, my home, my entire identity." "Why?" Alex asked quietly. "Why would you do that?" Zara thought about everything that had happened since she crashed in the forest. The taste of her first meal, Kate and Tom's unconditional kindness, Dave's patient teaching. The pride she felt when customers complimented her coffee the way Alex's. Paintings made her see beauty in unexpected places. "Because you taught me what it means to be human," she said. "And I can't be part of destroying something so beautiful." They sat in silence as stars began appearing in the darkening sky. Somewhere up there, Zara knew, a rescue ship was approaching to take her back to a life she no longer wanted. "What happens now?" Alex asked. "My people arrive tomorrow night to take me home. After that, the invasion preparations will accelerate." "But Alex, if I warn your governments, if I give them the technical information they need to defend themselves, you'd be committing treason against your own species." "Yes." Alex was quiet again. Then he turned to face her fully. "Zara, I care about you, but this is bigger than just us. If what you're saying is true, every person on Earth is in danger. I know. That's why I have to stop it. What do you need me to do?" The simple question, asked without hesitation, made Zara's eyes fill with tears. Even after learning she was an alien who had been deceiving him, Alex's first instinct was to help. "Help me gather the people I trust most. We need to make a plan. Before my people arrive." 2 hours later, Kate, Tom, Dave, Elena, and Alex sat in Kate and Tom's living room, listening to the most unbelievable story any of them had ever heard. Zara had activated her universal translator so they could hear a few words in her native language, demonstrated her enhanced strength by lifting Tom's heavy bookshelf with one hand, and shown them her hidden spaceship using its remote display system. "This is insane," Dave said, running his hands through his hair. "Aliens are real, and they're planning to invade Earth. And one of them has been making coffee in my shop for 3 weeks." He added with a slightly hysterical laugh. "Dave," Elena said gently, "focus. We need to figure out what to do." Tom leaned forward. "Zara, what kind of technology do your people have? How advanced are they compared to us?" "Very advanced. Your military weapons wouldn't be effective against our ships, but there might be another way." She explained how her people's technology relied on specific energy frequencies to function. If Earth scientists could create interference at those frequencies, they might be able to disrupt the invasion fleet systems. "But I'd need to get that information to your governments without being detected by my own people," she said. Kate, who had been quiet through most of the discussion, suddenly spoke up. "What about the internet? Could you upload the information to multiple servers around the world simultaneously? Your global communication network." Zara considered this. "Yes, that could work. But I'd need someone who understands your computer systems." Alex raised his hand. "My brother Ryan is a computer programmer. He works on network security for a tech company. If anyone could help us distribute this information safely, it's him." Within an hour, Ryan had arrived and was listening to the same incredible story. Like the others, he initially struggled to believe it, but Zara's demonstrations convinced him. "Okay," Ryan said, already pulling out his laptop. If we're going to do this, we need to be smart about it. Upload the data to multiple government agencies, scientific institutions, and news organizations simultaneously. Make it impossible to suppress or ignore. As Ryan worked on setting up the distribution network, the others discussed what would happen after the information was released. Zara, Elena said, "What about you? What happens when your people find out what you've done?" "I'll be exiled at best, executed at worst, but I can't go back anyway. I don't belong in that world anymore." "You belong here," Kate said firmly. "With us. This is your home now." The words made Zara's chest tight with emotion. Home. Yes, this was her home now. These people were her family, and she would do whatever it took to protect them. Just after midnight, they heard the low hum of approaching ships. Through the window, they could see lights descending from the sky toward the forest where Zara's ship was hidden. "They're here," Zara said. "Ryan, are you ready? Just finished uploading everything. The information will be released to every major government and news organization on Earth." In 30 minutes, Zara stood up, and the others gathered around her. "I have to go meet them. If I don't show up, they'll start searching, and they might discover you." "We're coming with you," Alex said. "Absolutely not. It's too dangerous, Zara," Tom said. "You didn't face any of this alone. You're not facing this alone either." 20 minutes later, they stood at the edge of the forest clearing where the sleek silver ships had landed. Zara's heart pounded as she saw familiar figures emerging from the vessels. Commander Thane stepped forward first, his tall frame imposing. In the moonlight, behind him came Captain Rex and a squad of armed guards. "Princess Zara," Thane said, his voice cold and formal. "You will come with us now." "Commander," Zara replied, stepping forward, "I need to speak with you about the invasion plans. There is nothing to discuss. The Emperor's orders are clear. The Emperor's orders are wrong." The words rang out in the quiet forest, and Zara felt the shift in the air as the guards raised their weapons. "Princess," Captain Rex said, "step away from these humans and board the ship immediately." "No." Thane's eyes narrowed. "You would choose these primitive creatures over your own people?" "These creatures have names," Zara said, her voice growing stronger. "They have hopes and dreams and the capacity for incredible love. They create beauty. They heal the sick. They care for strangers. They are not primitive. They are extraordinary. You have been corrupted by extended exposure to their emotions," Thane said dismissively. "This will be corrected once you return home." "I am home," Zara said firmly, "and I'm not leaving." At that moment, as if on cue, every phone in the group began buzzing with emergency alerts. The information about the planned invasion was being broadcast around the world. "What have you done?" Thane demanded. "I've given Earth the chance to defend itself." The fury in Thane's eyes was terrifying, but before he could respond, Kate stepped forward. "Commander Thane," she said, her voice remarkably calm. "My name is Kate Morrison. 3 weeks ago, your princess crashed near our home, and we helped her. We didn't know who she was, but we helped her anyway because that's what people do for each other." Tom joined his wife. She worked in our friend's coffee shop. She made friends with an artist. She learned to laugh at terrible jokes and cry at beautiful sunsets. She became part of our community. One by one, the others stepped forward. Dave talked about Zara's dedication to learning her job. Elena spoke about her compassion for all living things. Alex described her wonder at discovering human creativity. Ryan explained how she had risked everything to save people she barely knew. "This is what humans do," Kate concluded. "We take care of each other. We grow. We change. We become better than we were. And Zara has become one of us." Thane listened to all of this with growing impatience. "Enough. Princess, you will return with us, or these humans will face the consequences of your betrayal." "No," said a new voice. "She will not." Everyone turned to see more figures emerging from the forest. Government officials, military personnel, and scientists, all armed with the information Zara had provided Commander Thane. The lead official said, "I'm General Patricia Hayes, United States Air Force. We know about your invasion plans, and We're prepared to defend our world. Your primitive weapons cannot stop us, Thane replied. Maybe not, General Hayes admitted. But we're not the same species you've been observing from space. We adapt, we learn, we work together when threatened. And thanks to Princess Zara, we have time to prepare. As military vehicles surrounded the clearing, Thane realized his position was no longer secure. He looked at Zara with a mixture of anger and something that might have been respect. You have chosen exile. Princess, you will never be welcome among your people again. I know, Zara said, and I'm okay with that. Thane and his forces withdrew to their ships, but before departing, he had one final message. The invasion will still come. Princess, all you have done is delay the inevitable. Maybe, Zara replied, but humans are very good at making the impossible happen when they work.